Tracy. Good morning, everyone. Let's get started just like usual, okay? So seated or standing, what we want to think about is really lengthening through that spine, imagining that space between each vertebrae. Roll the shoulders back and down, and we're going to chin tuck back for 10 repetitions, okay? Let's get ready and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Excellent. Let's maintain that length through the spine, up nice and tall. We're going to do our head turns, 10 total, 5 each direction. Let's get ready and begin. 1, back to center. Other side, 2, back to center. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Excellent. Okay, we're going to get into our warm-up, and it's going to be 30 seconds per move. We're going to go into one move right into the other for 4 minutes just to get that body nice and warmed up. 4 exercises, 2 rounds straight through. We're starting with just a basic march, okay? Remember, if you're seated, you're right here, okay? Just remember, opposite arm and opposite leg are coming up, okay? All right, get both sides of the brain working here. Let's get ready and begin. I'm going to do mine standing today, but please feel free to stay seated if that is a better option for you, okay? So as my right knee goes up, my left arm swings forward. Really good for our cognitive health too, right? Exercise our brain and our body here. We're going to go into a side step with a W fly next in 3, 2, 1. So we're going to side step, okay? Just kind of pulling those shoulder blades back. All right, if you're seated, right here, okay? You pick which one works better for you. Next, we're going to go into our 4-count cherry pickers. All right, your feet are going to come wide if you're seated. All right, your feet are going to come wide if you're standing. Here we go. So it's reaching out, middle, inwards, and up. Out, middle, inwards, and up. Okay, this looks the same seated. Out, middle, inwards, up. Warming up the back of the body here, getting the hips moving as well. We're going to go into a rotational backstroke next. It's going to look the same seated or standing. 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to go ahead and, if we're standing, we're going to reach an arm back like we're doing a backstroke in the pool, and then we're going to wrap it around to the front. Reach it back. I'm following my hand with my eyes. And I'm coming around and back. This looks the same seated. Go through your range of motion. Don't force anything to go further than it wants to go. 3, 2, back to marching. Here we go. Round 2. Opposite hand and foot. See if you can get those arms swinging, those knees up high. This is round 2. We're just doing 2 rounds of our warm-up, and then we have 3 12-minute blocks today. 10 more seconds here. We're going back to our side step with that W fly. 2 and 1. Here we go. Side, side. Think of those shoulder blades pulling back. Think if there was an egg between your shoulder blades. Your shoulder blades are trying to crack the egg, okay? There are all those muscles that support our shoulders in the back there that we're waking up and turning on. Getting a nice stretch through the front of the body, right? And getting this lateral movement. Okay, going back to our 4-count cherry pickers. Wide stance, here we go. Reaching out, middle, in, and up, out, middle, in, and up. Okay, feeling the back of those legs start to wake up. Going back to our backstroke rotations next, getting a little bit of a torso rotation in the body. 2 and 1, here we go. So we're gonna reach it up and over like a backstroke in the pool. Then we're gonna bring it around to the front again. All right. You know, just let the range of motion wherever your body wants to go, okay? So it's not necessarily going to look the same on everyone. You don't want to try to force it into a position your body doesn't want to go. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Our little warm up is done here, and we're going to go into. I'm going to say there's 4 exercises each block. Okay, it's a 12-minute block, and we're going to do. It's called an A B A B A B C D. Okay, so we're going to do exercise A and B, and then we're going to do exercise A and B again. Then we're going to move on to the second A and B, and then we do it one more time, all 4 straight in a row. Okay, each section is going to work like that. Our first section, the 4 exercises we'll be working with is our squat. So either your goblet squat, a body weight squat, or if you're seated, you can do an alternating leg extension. Okay. Our second exercise is our body weight rope pull. Okay. Okay, so it looks the same seated or standing here. Okay. Our third exercise is our alternating lunge. Okay, so you can use the assistance of a chair if you need to. Okay, or if maybe you can do it body weight as well. All right, and if you're seated, we're doing our alternating leg press in lieu of our lunge. Okay, so this is our seated option if you don't want to do the lunge. And then our last one is a modified jumping jack. Okay, if you're advanced, you may do a couple regulars sporadically through that. Okay, and if this is just too much, you can go back to our warm-up move where we did our W and our side step. Okay, so if the jacks are not comfortable for your body, this is your alternative. Okay, same with standing, either here, or seated, not standing. Okay, all right, guys, so we're gonna start with our squat and our rope pull for 2 rounds. Okay, so just follow my lead. Remember, you're doing an alternating leg extension if you're seated. Okay, I'm going to stay standing. You can use weight or go body weight. We're going to get 45 seconds on the clock here. And in 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. So my heels are about shoulder width apart. Okay, about shoulder width apart. I'm pressing my heels into the floor when I lift myself back up so I can get a nice strong glute squeeze on the way up. All right, squeeze, use the glutes to lift. You should be feeling quadriceps working and glutes working with a squat. Go at your own tempo. You can slow it down or quicken it up depending on what works for you. And if you're seated, remember you're alternating those leg extensions from the knee, okay? 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. If you are using weight, you can put that aside. Okay, we're going to go into our body weight rope pull. If you're standing, it's important to think of tucking the pelvis and squeezing the glutes. Keep them engaged the whole time, all right? Ready? Begin. And you're using a little intensity, right? Like you're a little angry when you're ripping something down or pulling something down, right? And let those glutes that are engaged help feel how that gives you a nice solid base of support to put a little intensity into this. Looks the same seated, a little less of a glute squeeze just because you're already seated. After this, we go back to squats, okay? So we just did A and B, now we're going back to A and B again. Two and 1. Okay, back to squats. If you're using weight, you can go ahead and grab it, or you can do the body weight, or you can be seated and do your alternating leg extension. Heels are about shoulder width apart. Okay, let's get ready and begin. We're gonna lower down, drive it up, squeeze at the top, down. Staying nice and present, thinking about how your glutes are working, your quadriceps are working, you finding your tempo and your rhythm that works for you to find that mind-muscle connection. Good, 10 more seconds here, and then we're gonna do our second set of our rope pulls. 2, and time. Good, weight aside if you're using it. Okay, seated or standing, we're going into our rope pulls. Remember, with the standing one, that pelvic tuck and that squeeze of the glute is important to keep you nice and stable here, okay? Ready? Begin. We're working the muscles in the back here. That intensity helps us make that connection. It also helps work our heart too. We're gonna go into lunges or an alternating seated leg press next, okay? Our second AB is coming up. Three, 2, and 1. Okay, lunges or an alternating seated leg press. You can use the back of your chair with both hands, the side of your chair with one hand, no hands if you're advanced, or seated alternating leg press if you'd like to stay in your chair. Here we go. So I'm gonna step it back. I'm gonna lower down. I'm gonna drive up through that front heel, return. Other side, back, down, drive it up, return, okay? Some cueing here is, remember, when you're stepping back into your lunge, make sure you have space between your 2 feet, okay? That's gonna give you a better stance for balance, okay? If there's space between your left and right foot versus if they were 1 foot in front of the other, okay? 2, and time. Excellent. Our second move is our modified jumping jacks here, or you can do what we did in our warm-up if you prefer this here, okay? All right, and that looks the same seated. All right, here we go. All right, so modified jumping jacks. If you're advanced, you might pepper in a couple jumping ones here, okay? Make your own pattern with that. All right, if you're advanced, go ahead and find a little sequence of modified and regular that worked for you. And that's, you don't have to do that either. You could stay right here the whole time. If overhead with the arms hurts, come here. Or even a side step if you prefer that too, okay? Remember, this is all about making it successful for you, and do whatever feels appropriate for your body. 2, and 1. Our second AB, we're going back to lunges or an alternating seated leg press, okay? Ready? And begin. Step it back, lower down, drive it up, and return. Good. And remember, the quality of our work is so important here, okay? So quality over quantity every time. I'd rather see you get really good quality repetitions in good form than just a bunch of subpar ones, okay? So if you feel like you need to slow it down to work on your form, I'd rather see you do that, okay? Good, less than 10 seconds here. We're gonna go back to those modified jumping back jacks. Okay. Woo, sweaty one here. Okay, here we go. Back to those jacks. And 3, 2, and 1. So you can come overhead. If that is not comfortable, take it back. Okay, you pick. So this is our second AB. AB. Now, after this set of jumping jacks, we're going all the way back to the top with our squats for our AB seated. Okay. Ten more seconds here. 5, 3, 2, and 1. All right, one more round. All 4 exercises in a row. Remember to take your drinks whenever you need them. Don't let the timer stop you from hydrating yourself. Squats, let's get ready. About shoulder width apart. Here we go. Down, drive up. Down. With a weight or without a weight, whatever feels right for you. Or you're doing your alternating seated leg extension. Please remember with your squats, heels stay in contact with the floor. And you press them into the floor like you're trying to make indentations into the floor with the heels of your feet. Just 15 more seconds here. And we're going to go into our final set of rope pulls. 3, 2, and time. Okay, recover. Again, get your drinks when you need them. Rope pulls are next. Remember, if you're standing for this one, tucking and scooping the pelvis, okay, keeping the glutes engaged here so you're nice and stable through your trunk. Here we go. You're bringing the intensity to the movement. In our muscles, we have different types of muscle fibers. We have fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers, okay? Slow twitch are endurance muscle fibers. You have a lot of those for things like if you're going to walk, right? Walking, you might be doing walking for a long period of time. You're using slow twitch. When you're doing something with intensity like this, you have fast twitch muscle fibers that kick in. Like, we probably couldn't do that for a half hour and time, but we could probably walk for a half hour. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference right there. Lunging is next, or an alternating seated leg press, okay? Let's get ready and begin. Step it back, lower down, drive through that front heel, and return. It's important to do single leg, single limb exercises to help keep our muscles balanced. We all have little imbalances in our body, each unique to ourselves. Working the limbs independent of the other makes it so that the stronger one can't help out the weaker one, okay? It's nice it wants to do that, but we don't really want that. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, last one here, guys. Then we break, going into our modified jumping jacks. All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Here we go. Oops. Do it this way. You pick a variation that works for you. And remember, our timer is just a guide so that we get out class on time and it keeps it kind of organized. But that timer should not dictate when you need a drink or a little extra rest, okay? So if you need to stop early or start late, listen to your body, okay? 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, And time. Excellent. First 12-minute block is done, okay? So that is what I mean when I say our AB, AB, ABCD workout, okay? So that's going to be the same format for the next 2 blocks with just different exercises. So while we're recovering, bringing ourselves back to normal, I will share with you the next 4 exercises, okay? We did all of these last week, okay? We're gonna do our hinge with a rear delt fly, okay? So this is like our hinge and row, but we're gonna hinge and then we're gonna fly. Okay, so we're coming out to the side and then we're gonna drive up. So hinge, fly, okay? Remember, I'm trying to stay nice and neutral through my spine. So pushing my hips back towards the wall behind me and simultaneously having my head lower, right? So I'm thinking of my hips pushing back versus thinking of my head going down, right? You can actually, if you think of that head going down, it feels like you're gonna round versus when you say hips going back, okay? All right, so hips going back, neck is in line with your spine. So find a focal point somewhere on the floor in front of you. So it's all in one. And then when we're down here, we're gonna fly out. I want you to think of using these rear delts, okay? That's the prime mover right here. So don't think of your palms as coming up. Think of the back of your shoulders as lifting your palms up, okay? All right, after that, we're gonna do that skater lunge with a tick-tock arm. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, getting into that glute medius here. Okay, good stabilizer muscles for our balance and helps protect our knees when it's strengthened, okay? After that, we're gonna do that crush and press, crush and press, crush and press, okay? So with 1 dumbbell, 2 dumbbells, or no dumbbells, okay? And then after that, we're gonna do our ham curl with a tricep kick back. Okay, so we can hold weights for that one as well, okay? So those are our 4 moves, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, D. We're gonna start with our hinge and rear delt fly, okay? And I am going to demo these ones seated as well as standing, just so that it's clear on what they look like seated, okay? All right, let's get ready. In 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. So from the seated position, I'm hinging, I'm flying, driving back up, okay? Good. Remember, it's if you're standing, it's the hips push back to the wall behind you. You're finding that nice neutral spot on the floor. And you're thinking of your shoulder blades as lifting the arms up. Good, 10 more seconds here, and then we're gonna go to that skater with the tick-tock arms, okay? 3, 2, and 1. We can put those weights aside, all right? And when we're seated here, we're just gonna do a lateral tap. This is what it's gonna look like, boom. Okay, so this is your seated option right here, okay? Right here, and here we go. I'm gonna do the standing for this one. So if you're standing, you're kind of tapping that leg behind. You can adjust your intensity. If you're advanced, you might put a little hop into it. Let's see. Let me see if I can even do it. Let's see. It's hard to find that rhythm when you're doing. There we go. That's an advanced one right there. You kind of leap to the other side. Maybe you can do like our jumping jacks, a little combination of the harder variation and moderate 1, 2, and 1. Excellent. We're going back to our rear delt fly and hinge, okay? So we're going back to the first exercise. This round we'll do standing, all right? So here we go. Begin. Pushing hips back, fly, squeezing the glutes to lift up. So we're working the backs of our shoulders, and we're also working our back, our glutes, and our hamstrings. Remember to stay present. It's easy to kind of get lost in thought sometimes, but just stay present. Give this hour for your body. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Second set of the skater lunges with those TikTok arms. Remember, if we're seated, it's that abduction here. Okay, so we're not crossing over the back like our standing variation, but with either one, we're still hitting our glute medius. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to our second AB after this. And that's going to be our crush press to overhead press and our ham curls with our tricep kickbacks. Five more seconds here. Woo. 2 and 1. Excellent. Get your drinks whenever you need them, guys. Crush press to overhead press. 1, 2, or no dumbbells. I'm going to use 1, okay? Looks the same seated or standing. Standing, you might have a little bit of a bounce. Here we go. So we're going to pop, 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 pop. If it feels very confusing to add that slight little knee bend, I want you to take it out and just focus on the crush and press. Additionally, if overhead pressing is not comfortable for your body, okay, keep it right here. Okay, take the overhead press out if it hurts. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Okay, ham curl kickback with a tricep kickback, okay? We're seated, we're kind of closer towards the edge of the chair so that we can toe tap back here. Okay, that's our seated variation. All right, standing, we're gonna flex the foot as we do our tricep kickback. All right, ham curl kickback and a tricep kickback. So the back of the legs and the back of the arms with this exercise. Plus the heart, right? The more joints we move in a single exercise, the more it works our heart. So right here, we have the ankles, knees, elbows moving, hips 2, 2, and 1, okay. Back to our crush press to overhead press, okay? If you're using 2 dumbbells, you might want to put them together like this. If you're using 1, like I am, you can hold it long ways, or you can do this body weight. Here we go. Push and press. Just keep the knees still. If this pattern, if you just feel like you're not getting the rhythm, that's okay. Focus on the upper body movement and just keep the glutes engaged, or be seated here. Remember, only overhead press if there's no acute pain, okay? We're going to go back to the very top for our A, B, C, and D round next, okay? Whew. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. One more round straight through, and we're going to go back to our hinge with our rear delt fly, okay? Your standing feet are about hip width apart, okay? Here we go. We're going to push the hips back, fly, squeeze the glutes to stand. Remember, you're thinking of those shoulder blades, the muscles in the back of the shoulder blades that are actually the prime movers in lifting these dumbbells up, okay? Lifting these weights up. It's not the palms or the fist that's lifting up the weight. It's the muscles in the back of the shoulders that are. So that's where you want to put your thought, okay? Three, two, and time, okay. All right, we can put our weights aside if you're using them. We're gonna go back to that skater lunge with those tick-tock arms, okay? Final set of these in 3, 2, and 1. So we call it a skater lunge because it kind of looks like if you were on ice skates. I mean, I wouldn't look like this on ice skates, but remember, you're doing just those lateral taps if you're seated, okay? You're not bringing that foot behind. You're just tapping out to the side. Adjust your intensity as you see fit. We're going to go into our final set of our crush press to overhead press next, okay? 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Okay. 1, 2, or no dumbbells here, okay? I'm still sticking with my 1, and I'm going long ways with it. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. We're going to crush and press. Again, if you're finding discomfort with that overhead pressing, take it out, okay? Good. Past halfway on this one. And then we're going to go to our hamstring curl kickbacks with our tricep kickbacks. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Whew. Oh, I'm feeling that. Okay, so one more exercise here, and then we're on to our final 12-minute block here, okay? So let's go into that bent elbow position here. Here we go. So when your arms are lengthened, I want you to think when they're right here. I want you to think of squeezing this muscle, right? Put your mind to it, right? And if you feel like you have that down, think about your hamstrings too, those muscles in the back of the thigh. Try to keep the foot flexed and feel the muscle contraction that pulls that heel up towards your glute. It's your hamstring that does that. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. That is block 2 there. All right. So, whew, we are going to go into our final block. So let's recover here. All right. We're going to do, I'm going to explain as you bring your heart rate back down, a bow and arrow row. Okay. So what it looks like is I'm keeping my core tight by scooping here, right? That's always the best way. If you want to think about, is my core engaged? Tuck the pelvis, scooping under, okay? And that will automatically bring your core into engagement. We're going to pull back. We're going to keep the elbow shoulder height, okay? So the elbow stays shoulder height, and we're going to follow it with our gaze. Our hips stay forward. That looks excellent, okay? Hips stay forward as our upper body rotates, okay? Excellent, and you can use a band for this, okay? If you would like to use a band, okay, and create a little extra resistance, you can. You don't have to, okay? After that, we're gonna do our squat with our lean back crunches. This one is our core section here, okay? So here, we're going to sit squatted down. We're gonna lean back, exhale, drive it up. Sit it down, lean back, exhale, drive it up, okay? So we get that chair crunch And then anytime we're squatting, you're using your core, okay? So sometimes we want to think of that it's not just traditional ab exercises that work our core. It's functional movements like our squats and lunges and whatnot that also work our core, okay? After that, we're going to do our hinge and row, okay? So just like our hinge and fly, this time we're just doing what we know good at this point, right? If you've been with me, you know, we hinge and row, okay? All right, so hinge and row. And then our final one is a 3 count knee repeater. So it's like a standing knee crunch. We're gonna 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward, 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. Okay, that's gonna set us up for the other side. If we're seated, we don't have to worry about that back, back, forward. We're just gonna be set up for the other side, okay? So final block, guys, okay? Going back to AB, and we're gonna do our bow and arrow row and our lean back crunch to stand, okay? All right, so if you're you can do these seated too, right here, okay? So let's get ready. In 3, 2, and 1, okay? I'll demo seated for a little bit. What's nice about the seated variation is if you feel that you have a hard time keeping your hips straight forward while your upper body rotates back, being seated will take that effort out of the game, right? So if you find your hips just want to move with you, try the seated variation and it'll just be a game changer in that aspect. All right, so pulling back, keeping those elbows nice and high, like I'm pulling on a bow. I'm creating that resistance by engaging those muscles as I pull back. And time, good. We're gonna go into our crunch, okay, with our sit back, our squat to sit back and crunch. All right, so I'm gonna start standing here. And if you're seated the whole time, you're gonna take the squat part out. So we're gonna lower down, lean it back, exhale as you bring it forward and then drive it up. So 1, 2, exhale 3, drive it up 4, okay? So it's a 4 count, 2. You really need to engage your abs as you scoop back. As you scoop back right here, think of making a C with your abdominals, okay? And if you're staying seated the whole time, you're just gonna, right here, okay? So if the squatting is too much, that's what you're gonna do. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, back to our bow and arrow row, our second AB for these first 2. All right, so option to use a light mini band if you want. Otherwise, make that mind muscle connection by acting like, so let's say you're trying to pull your elbow, you're trying to push it through like a 10-pound bag of rice or something. You know what I mean? Like you have, like it's resistance you're creating as you're trying to push that elbow back through something like, you know, a big vat of dry rice or something. The first thing that comes to my head, right? So create those muscle contractions just with your mind alone, okay? 10 more seconds here. And time, excellent. Back to our squat with that lean back crunch. Again, if the squatting is too much, just do the lean back crunches, okay? Let's get ready and begin. So we're gonna lower down, drive it back, or lean back, exhale forward, and then drive it up. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? You can count it in your head if it helps keep that nice pattern going for you. Make sure when you're leaning back, you're creating this nice C with your back, scooping the core, and you're exhaling as you're coming back forward. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. We're on to our next 2 here, which is our hinge and row, okay? And our 3 count knee repeater. All right, so feet are under the hips, toes are forward. All right, we're gonna push our hips back, nice neutral spine, row it, elbows come back and stay put, or come up and stay close to the body. Finding that neutral point on the floor once in a while for demonstration purposes, but overall, we're trying to find some neutral point on the floor to keep our neck in line with our spine. Elbows stay close to the rib cage as we row up. Working the large muscles in our back right now, the lats, as well as our glutes and hamstrings. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Weights can come aside. We're going to do our 3 count knee repeater, okay? So 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. You're set up for the other side, okay? Ready? Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, back, back, forward. 1, 2. Remember, if you're seated doing this one, you don't have to worry about that little shift on the legs, right? It'll just be. Okay? So you pick what works for you. Three, 2, and 1. Okay, we're going into our second set of hinge and row. Okay, so grabbing our weights again if we're using them. All right, if you're seated, your feet are still hip width apart, and it's going to look the same. All right, here we go. Push the hips back, row it, elbows stay close to the rib cage. Squeeze the glutes to lift yourself back up. When we're doing the row portion of the exercise, this is the prime mover right here. This is our lat, and this is where I want you to think of that strong muscle engagement. When you're doing this right here, when you're pulling those elbows back and up, think of engaging those lat muscles. Five more seconds here. 2, and 1. Okay, back to our 3 count knee repeater, and then we put it together ABCD for one more round. Okay, let's get ready. 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. I like to do my exhales as my knees come up, right? And I try to think of pulling my belly button back every time I exhale, right? That gets those deep core muscles involved, right? We have layers of muscles in the abdominal area, right? We have those 6-pack ones on top. We have obliques over top of obliques. And then we have the very deep core muscles, the transverse abdominals, which protect our spine and time. Okay? Back to the top, guys. This is it. We're going to start with that bow and arrow row. All right, so seated or standing, hips stay forward. Standing, you're going to keep those glutes nice and engaged. Here we go. So we're getting posture muscles here, obliques. Good, almost done with these. We got 10 more seconds here. Woo. Last 5. 3, 2, and 1. Good, all done with those. I felt that last round. All right, we're gonna go back into our lean back crunches with the sit squat here, okay? So feet are about shoulder width apart, okay? Here we go. We're gonna sit it down. We're gonna lean it back, exhale up, and then drive it up, okay? So remember, we're trying to create this C curve in our spine when we're here, right? Scooped, and then exhale, drive up. Okay, take the squat part out if it's too much and just focus on that C curve right here. Right, just like if you were on the floor doing a crunch. Less than 10 seconds. Then we're gonna go to our hinge and row. 2 and 1. Okay, all done with those. Back to our weights. Our feet are gonna come in a little bit right under our hips. Toes are forward, okay? I'm gonna push those hips back, nice neutral spine. Ready, and begin. Remember, when we're pulling those elbows back, we're thinking of the lats, those big muscles behind on the back side of the rib cage there on either side. They are the prime movers. They are what are initiating those elbows coming back. It's not the palms bringing the dumbbells back. It's the back muscles making it happen. So that's where you put your mind, you know, that's where you say squeeze, right? You got to make that connection. Two and one. Okay. Final exercise here, guys. We got our 3-count knee repeater, okay? So weights can come aside now. Let's get ready and begin. So feel free to make those noisy exhales. Everyone's muted, so we can't, you only hear me, right? That helps you get those transverse abdominals in, working as that belly button wants to pull back towards the spine with every exhale. Ten more seconds, then we cool down. 3, 2, and time. Woo! All right, guys. Nice work. Let's get a drink, okay? We're gonna let that heart rate come back down. All right, we'll start at the top of the body today for our stretches and work our way down, okay? So just a couple deep breaths here, all right? And then when you're ready, we're gonna start with the neck and traps, okay? These are some of my favorites, all right? So we're gonna just gently pull, and then we're just gonna gently reach down with that hand. Should feel a nice stretch right through this area here, okay? You can play around with like the positioning of your chin. You can see if it feels better to look down than over, or maybe you just like get straight forward. Just see where, you know, see how you experience that stretch. As long as there's no force there, okay? Good, coming back up to center. Let's even out and get that other side. So we're just gonna pull on the side of the head and then reach down with that arm. Sometimes you might notice one side feels tighter or looser than the other. That's normal and that's okay. It's just being aware of your body, right? Good, and then gently come back up to center here. Let's take both our palms, we're gonna put them around to the small of our back, okay? And I want you to think of pulling your elbows towards one another so you feel a stretch across the front of your shoulders and chest here, okay? Again, let's think about posture for a second and put your head wherever it's comfortable. Like for me, my chin up kind of gives me some discomfort, so I like to look straight forward. So play around with what works. We're just focused on feeling that opening through the chest here. Again, I'm a big advocate on posture correction and whatnot. And think about that. If we're tight through this area, that tightness is going to pull us forward, right? Especially if we're weak back here. Okay, so we're trying to stretch out the front. Good, and relax. And now we kind of got a little forearm stretch from doing that too. So let's just wrist roll here a little bit. Okay, just go back and forth. And then just give me a couple palms squeezes too, okay? Good, all right. Let's go into a lateral bend stretch now, okay? So you can either just reach up and over, and this is a wonderful one seated too. I actually kind of prefer this one seated. I just feel it better. And if you want, you can either stay there, or if you want to intensify it a little, you can go ahead and grab on that wrist. And you're thinking of lifting up and then over. Like, think about where your wall and your ceiling meet, and like your fingertips are trying to go there, right? Good. And then same thing, other side, evening out. Excellent. All right. Now, let's get into our hips here today. We can use the back of our chair, okay? And I'm gonna go nice and wide with my feet, okay? Creating this wider than shoulder width stance, okay? And then I'm just going to lean into one side here, okay? And I'm gonna use my chair for support because we're really focused on the lower body. And you wanna feel that stretch through the groin and inner thigh area here, okay? You can have a little bit of a lean forward here. Good. We're often tight through that hip flexor area, especially if we're sitting a lot, that shortens the muscle. All right, let's drive it up, and then we'll go head to the other side here, okay? So now I'm getting that inner thigh groin stretch on the other side, okay? Excellent. All right, we're gonna finish up with our hamstrings and our ankles, okay? So if you can lift your heel up onto your chair if that's too high, and you have maybe a step or something right here, like, oh, look, my new location here, I have a step. Okay, so here's a variation. It's right here. Some of you may have that, available to you. And if not, it's coming up too high, just come here. Okay, do it from your seat. When you're ready, let's do the other side. All right. Other side when you're ready, picking whatever variation works for you. Good. And then you can either stand or sit. We're just going to take that first leg again, and we're going to flex and point for 5 through the ankle. And then you're going to circle 5 each direction. And then you're just going to even out and do the same thing on the other side. We're going to flex and point for 5. And then circle 5 each direction. Ooh. All right, and then we're going to take a nice big inhale up, palms together, exhale against the heart. And one more time, big inhale up, exhale, palms to heart. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's workout. And don't forget to stay hydrated, okay? Nice work, guys.